Hi, welcome to Mini Movies. Today I'm going to explain an Italian modern fairy tale film called The Man Without Gravity. Spoilers ahead, watch out and take care. A pregnant woman named Natalia and her mother Alina are driving in their car through a storm. Natalia is going through labor pain, and her mother is trying to take her to the hospital. After reaching the hospital, the nurse informs them that there are no doctors available at the moment, but seeing Natalia's pain, the nurse herself helps Natalia deliver the baby. Inside the operating room, Natalia is having a hard time giving birth to her child. The nurse tries to keep her focused and helps her through the process. Finally, a baby boy is out of Natalia's womb, but he doesn't cry. Instead, he floats in the air like a butterfly, while still attached to his mother. All three of them are shocked to see the baby. Natalia gently pulls the baby towards her and hugs him. She believes her child is an angel, but the nurse is left speechless, and Elena's face is filled with concern and confusion. Realizing that the birth of this rare child could bring unwanted attention, Natalia and Alina run away from the hospital without informing the nurse. When they reach home, Natalia assumes that if the baby eats something, he might stop flying and starts feeding him. Alina inquires about the child's father, but Natalia is a prostitute and therefore is not sure who the father is. Alina then reminds Natalia that the child is not normal, so to keep him safe from the cruel world, Alina suggests that Natalia keep everything a secret. The next morning, Alina wakes up and she finds the baby sleeping on the ceiling. She wakes up Natalia and steps on a chair to bring the baby down carefully. After bringing him down, Alina hands the baby over to Natalia. She holds him and names the child Oscar. As they were talking, Alina spots four of her friends coming to see the baby. To keep the secret from them, Alina ties Oscar to his crib with a belt and covers him with a blanket. When one of her friends tries to pick the baby up, Alina stops her, saying the baby is fragile. The women did not suspect anything and left. After that incident, they both realize that taking care of the baby is not going to be easy. Considering the fact that Oscar ends up on the ceiling when left unnoticed, they make the ceiling comfortable with mattresses, so they won't hurt him. They also realize that if they ever let him out of the house, Oscar might float in the sky, and therefore tell everyone he's allergic to the sun. A few years go by, and Oscar is now 6 years old, and in the 6 years of his life, Oscar has never stepped out of his house and is still not allowed to go outside. His everyday life includes looking at people through the window and watching superhero movies in the house. All the basic education of reading and writing is given to him by Alina inside the house. One day, Natalia makes him a jacket and puts some weights in the pockets. With the help of the jacket, Oscar can now walk around on the ground. Natalia is happy that she can finally send her son to school like all the other kids. However, Alina is against the idea of sending Oscar outside, but that doesn't change anything. One day, when Oscar is alone in the house, he opens the window and tries to get out. Natalia and Alina come home to find Oscar missing. At first, they believe Oscar has gone out. They're both scared to find the window open, but apparently Oscar's jacket had fallen off him, and he's stuck on the ceiling. Alina is concerned that he might escape out of the window when he gets the chance again. Not taking any chances further, Alina starts to shut the window permanently, but Natalia is not happy with that. She doesn't want Oscar to stay inside the house, and knows that keeping him locked in the house isn't the right thing to do. That night, Natalia takes him outside, and they both start walking, holding hands. While on their walk, Natalia tells Oscar to keep his power a secret, like how superheroes keep their identities secret. Oscar agrees to that. Oscar limps while walking, as he hasn't walked much in his life, but the idea of putting some weights in Oscar's jacket worked really well, and it helps him keep on the ground. From that day onwards, Natalia starts taking him outside everywhere she goes. One day, Natalia takes him shopping and leaves him outside while she goes inside the shop to buy things. While waiting for his mother, Oscar bumps into a girl. The girl's name is Agatha, and she's mad at Oscar for bumping into her, which causes her to drop her groceries. Agatha hands him the groceries and tells him to carry them for her, saying it's his punishment for bumping into her. Without informing Natalia, Oscar follows Agatha to her house. On the way, Oscar feels tired of carrying both the weights and the water bottles. He then drops the weight to make it easier for him. Agatha and Oscar tell each other their names and begin their friendship. They reach Attica's house, but Oscar can't let go of the water bottles. Agatha asks Oscar to hand her the water bottles, but Oscar refuses to do so. Agatha is confused to see Oscar, and she grabs the water bottles from him, making him fly up, but he gets stopped by the roof. Agatha is shocked to see Oscar floating, and even calls him Superman. Oscar asks her for help down, and Agatha gives him his backpack with some weights, which helps him stay on the ground. Before leaving, Oscar asks Agatha to keep it a secret, and Agatha promises him that she won't tell anyone about his secret. Meanwhile, Natalia is scared thinking about Oscar. As the night falls, Oscar returns to his house and tells Natalia about Agatha. She's concerned that Oscar might have told her about his secret, but Oscar lies to her and says that he didn't. From that day, Agatha starts visiting Oscar in his house, and Natalia is happy to see Oscar playing with others, all under the assumption that Agatha knows nothing about Oscar's secret. But Natalia soon finds out the lie that Oscar told her and stops Agatha from meeting Oscar after that. People around them start to think that Natalia and Alina are keeping Oscar imprisoned, and they report it to the police. Soon, the police visit Natalia and ask about Oscar. The police even warn them that they can't keep a child locked inside the house forever. Understanding the seriousness of the situation, they both decide to send Oscar to school. But when they reach the school, Natalia finds out that students keep their backpacks and jackets outside the classroom, making them unable to send Oscar to that school. Realizing that it's hard for Oscar to live in that environment, they decide to move away from the city to somewhere safe. Many years have gone by, and Oscar is now a grown man. Natalia is old, and Alina has passed away, and Oscar still has to walk around with the backpack. One night, Oscar sees an advertisement for a reality show called The Extraordinary Men. Oscar thinks that if he showcases his power in that show, people might like him, and he no longer would have to hide his secret. So he quietly leaves the house without telling his mother and presents his ability to fly. The show becomes an instant hit, and people love him. Some even think he's an angel. Oscar is then approached by a talent specialist, David, and offers his help to Oscar in order to become more famous by organizing shows and events for him. Oscar signs the contract with him and is given the name The Man Without Gravity. Oscar then performs in events and earns a lot of money as well. To make Oscar even more famous, David deliberately creates false stories about his childhood and even opens up a museum to showcase Oscar's childhood memories. As the days pass, Oscar becomes tired of his celebrity status and feels like going back to his old life. He informs David to cancel the contract, but David tells him that the contract doesn't work that way, and he has to do the shows that were booked for him. To make Oscar happy, David mentions a publisher who wants to meet him and write a book about him, which is Oscar's biggest dream. But when they meet the publishers, Oscar learns that they're just interested in selling more books for profit. Hearing this, Oscar refuses to work with them. Later, in a live broadcast, Oscar makes a mistake with the performance, and people become angry at him. David is also furious at him for not taking the event seriously. Oscar tells him again that he doesn't want to be a celebrity anymore, and wants David to fake his death so that he can go back to his peaceful life. David understands his pain, and therefore promises to help him as he suggested. Soon, the news comes out stating that Oscar is no longer alive, and some rumors come out that everything Oscar did in the shows were using special effects. The media comes to Natalia asking her about Oscar's death and about the rumors, but she doesn't tell them anything. Many years pass, and Oscar has changed his identity to Desky. Not just the name, he also has his appearance changed and pretends to be handicapped and uses a wheelchair to move around so that he can tie himself to it. He now works as a receptionist at a hotel that is famous for prostitutes. One day, before closing the hotel, he finds a prostitute in the room who tells him everything is fine. As he leaves the room, she calls him by his real name. It turns out that the prostitute is Agatha. They're both happy to see each other, and Oscar shares his life story. The next day, they go out for a date, and the night after coming home, they get into an intimate moment. Oscar and Agatha love each other, but Agatha hesitates to accept it because of her profession. After a fight on the topic, Oscar leaves without Agatha. He returns back to his childhood home and prepares to live out the rest of his life there. Agatha then comes there looking for him. Finally, Agatha understood Oscar's love for her, and they both start living their life. After a few days, Agatha gets pregnant with his baby, and Oscar starts working as a window cleaner with a Batman costume at an old-age home facility. All the people in the facility are surprised to see a man flying in front of them.